Hi, I'm author Jenny Goutet, and I write clean historical romance. Today, I wanted to tell you a little bit about A Love Once Lost, give you some background as to why I wrote the book, and just tell you a little bit about my upcoming release. I signed with Haven for a series in the 18th century, and it's about the Grand Tour. I've talked a little bit about that before, but basically it's an extended trip to the continent. Usually it's for gentlemen. There were some exceptions, but usually the women were married or older and independent. In this case, we have Mr. Bridwell who wants to take his 3 daughters because he wants to turn them into luminaries. That I was already excited about. I knew there would be one book set in Paris because that's where I live. I decided to have one book set in Rome because that was always a big destination stop. And I'm actually traveling with my husband, if all goes well, this fall to Rome so that I can prepare to write the 3rd book in the series. The first stop, I decided it would be in Spa. And I really didn't know anything about Spa, didn't even know it existed. And it's only about 4 hours by car away from me. And it's currently in the country of Belgium. At the time, Belgium didn't exist. So it was in the Bishopric of Liège under the Holy Roman Empire. But it was a bathing town. It was like Bath or Tunbridge Wells. So the first stop was there. It's not a usual stop on the Grand Tour, but it was definitely a very popular resort town, especially for people who wanted both a cure, like a therapeutic bath, therapeutic waters, and also society. So the one thing that I knew, I kind of figured out what I wanted each character to be like. And the one thing that I knew was that the heroine of the first book, Amy, did not want to leave England. A little background behind the story. Mr. Bridwell lost his wife when Amy was, I think, 8 years old. Amy's mother told her before dying that she kind of was responsible for her 2 younger sisters and her dad, because her dad is a scholar, very eccentric and not very reliable. So Amy took that charge to heart, and she, except for falling in love with James, who was the son of a neighbor, she was very obedient, very responsible. She kept everything running, did everything well. So she and James had this kind of secret love. He even proposed, but his father did not like Mr. Bridwell because Mr. Bridwell was so eccentric, and he put his statues all over the garden and everything like that. So they kind of had a hidden courtship. It got found out, and meanwhile, Mr. Bridwell is trying to marry off Amy to one of his friends who's his age and have her live right nearby. So not an ideal situation. And long story short, she and James it didn't work out. They split. There was no contact between them. And now we'll fast forward 6 years later, and Amy is reluctantly following her family on tour. She doesn't want to do it, not interested in leaving England. All she really wants is to make a home, have babies, get married. She's never fallen in love. After James, it was just like he was the ideal man, and after that, she didn't find anyone interesting. So they arrive in Spa, and meanwhile, James had his own kind of turbulent path. He left with a broken heart. He did his own tour and eventually studied medicine and was invited to become a physician in the town of Spa. So when she arrives, one of the first people she sees is James. And he doesn't see her right away, but, you can imagine the shock. So when they meet at the ball, she's wondering, will he see me in the same way? Will he still find me beautiful? Is this fate bringing us back together? And then she finds out that he's actually engaged to someone else. So it is a big reversal of hope. all of this you kind of know from, I'm not giving any spoilers away. All of this you kind of know from the back summary of the book. But it may sound a lot to you like Persuasion, and it is a lot like Persuasion. I didn't have that book in mind when I was thinking of the story, but as I was writing it, it came to mind. Like it was almost a similar separation. I think in Persuasion, it was like a 7-year separation.
It's been 7 years.
8.
Darling.
And in my book, it's 6 years, but a good chunk of time. He comes back and he thought he had moved on, just like Captain Wentworth thought he had moved on. And he was even pursuing a local girl, Amy has to just be patient through all of this.
There's nothing worse than thinking your life is ruined and then realizing you've got much, much further to fall.
And she was filled with hope when she first saw him, and then that hope was dashed almost right away. And she was forced to come to terms with where she was living and find fulfillment in this foreign place that she had landed. And that's when I realized that this book is also a little bit like French Kiss, the movie. It's taking someone out of their comfort zone by bringing them overseas. Suddenly they're a fish out of water. They have to face who they are and what they really want. And that was exactly what Amy had to go through. And even though there's not that kind of opposites attract element of French Kiss, because she and James had similar desires, similar goals.
There were no two souls more in rhythm than Wentworth and I.
And all of that, there was this sense that she was traveling and it was forcing her to grow. And in the story, she does start to love the town of Spa and the life there, even apart from James. I mean, she's put him out of her mind, and she is honorably allowing him to pursue his path, even though she doesn't understand why he got engaged to that particular woman. And I won't give the spoiler as to why he did, but she forced herself to just live her life for her. And then that's the beauty of this kind of second chance romance, this kind of restraint, is that you realize that your mistakes that you made in the past, because they both made mistakes. They bowed to the pressure of their family. So in order for Amy and James to have their happily ever after, they had to realize that not all missed opportunities are meant to last forever, that mistakes don't necessarily deny you of what you truly want, what your destiny is. You see that even if love has been put off for several years, it doesn't necessarily lessen in intensity.
What you're seeing is the past.
It was just such a great story to write. And it was challenging for me because writing a second chance romance where one of the main characters has moved on or thought to have moved on and actually got engaged,
I'm sure he's put it all behind him,
makes it that much harder because you can't have the fireworks starting right away. There has to be a lot of denying yourself and wanting the best for the other person and behaving nobly and not wishing for the downfall of the other person or wishing for the end to their relationship. You want what's best for them. I thought that was a beautiful theme, and I think it's something we can all learn from. Anyway, so if French Kiss meets Persuasion is your jam, and you don't want to miss out on this kind of emotional devastation in the very best way, then A Love Once Lost releases on June 23rd, and you can pre-order it. The link is in the description. If you pre-order it from Baker, there's a really good deal. You get stickers and bookmark and character art. It's free shipping. It's 40% off. I mean, there's all these really great things. But even if you want to order it from your favorite bookstore or in a different format like ebook or audio, then you can fill out the Google form, which is also in the description, and you will still get all of those goodies. So it doesn't have to be ordered from Baker, but if you want to get the good deal, you can order it from there. But either way, you're going to get all of the swag that comes with it if you pre-order. So I hope you enjoy Amy and James' story, and I'll see you next time.